Net neutrality is on its way to being restored. Companies share your cell phone location data legally, and attackers could get full root access on Red Hat Linux operating systems. All that coming up now on ThreatWire. Greetings, I am Shannon Morse and this is ThreatWire for May 22nd, 2018, your summary of the threats to our security, privacy, and internet freedom. Our Patreon is over at patreon.com/ThreatWire, and that is always the best way to support the show and will help us reach our next goal. So if you want access to exclusives, including that brand new Discord server, check out the Patreon link in the show notes below, and now, on to the news. On Wednesday, May 16th, last week, the U.S. Senate passed a resolution under the Congressional Review Act to restore net neutrality rules, after the FCC's adamant approaches during this past year of trying to remove it and their plan to do away with it during 2017. Previously, the FCC had voted 3-2 to repeal those net neutrality rules to keep ISPs in line, by not allowing them to prioritize content or making fast lanes, throttle services, or block websites of competitors. Since the rule was repealed, ISPs would basically be permitted to do whatever they'd choose once the repeal goes into effect on June 11th. Though many ISPs, including Comcast, stated that they would not do things such as throttle customers even without the rules in place. But several companies, including AT&T and Comcast, were caught red-handed throttling or blocking access to websites in earlier years. The Senate voted 52-47 along party lines, with a few key outliers. Republican Senators Susan Collins of Maine, John Kennedy of Louisiana, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Independent Senators Angus King Jr. of Maine and Bernie Sanders of Vermont voted yay to restoring net neutrality. Senator John McCain did not vote. The restoration was first backed by Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts back on December 14th, at which time the Congressional Review Act resolution was introduced specifically for this case. Now, while net neutrality did have a really big win in the Senate, there is still a lot of battling to do. The vote will now be passed on to the House of Representatives, in which Republicans have the majority of seats at 235 versus 193 for Democrats. After that, it will land on Trump's desk, where he could stop it or he could sign it into rule. In order to be brought to vote at the House, Democrats must do a discharge petition. So a discharge petition is a means of bringing a bill out of committee and to the floor for consideration without a report from the committee, by discharging the committee from further consideration of a bill or resolution. A majority of House representatives must sign the discharge petition to force the vote and move the resolution onto the president's desk. We're unsure when that vote will happen, but given the effective date of June 11th, it needs to happen ASAP to have any kind of effect going forward. What in the world is going on with Securus and LocationSmart? Well, it all started when one senator wanted to know more about police phone location surveillance. The New York Times posted an article about how prisons use a specific company called Securus Technologies to not only just provide calls to inmates, but also to monitor them. But Securus Technologies could also be used for reasons beyond this, which is what happened in Missouri. Sheriff Corey Hutchison found that he could use Securus to track any cell phone and monitor its location data within seconds of inquiring about its whereabouts, and he did so between 2014 and 2017, tracking at least 11 different people without their knowledge or consent, including a judge and members of the State Highway Patrol. The system Securus Technologies uses to track locations is called 3C Interactive, who in turn gets data from a company called LocationSmart, who buys the data from all major cell phone carriers. There's a whole loop going on here. Securus vets requests by simply asking for a warrant or affidavit from a user. So this spurred Democratic Senator Ron Wyden into action, writing a letter to the FCC about Securus, saying that they don't do any review of surveillance requests and that wireless carriers under the FCC have to verify law enforcement requests, but private companies like Securus do not. To make matters worse, cell phone carriers like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Sprint have to abide by their own privacy policies, but this can still allow them to collect or share data on locations, and states across the US have varying degrees of privacy policies available to consumers as far as warrants are concerned. Now, to make matters even worse, Securus was hacked. A hacker was able to obtain 2,800 usernames, email addresses, phone numbers, and hashed MD5 passwords that are easily cracked. A username and password on Securus' site could easily allow an attacker access to the location data of a target. Securus initiated an investigation into the breach. Now let's discuss LocationSmart for a bit. So this company also had a website vulnerability and was contacted by Krebs on Security about the problem. Their site allowed anyone visiting the site to view private information without any login credentials. The hacker would need access to a phone number to search for, though. LocationSmart has a live demo option on their website that has you enter your name, email, and phone number into a form. The phone number is sent a text message that asks for permission to view location data. Once approved, the site tells the user their approximate GPS coordinations on Google Street View. But a researcher at Carnegie Mellon University found that he could do the same thing without receiving approval from the cell phone's owner. The site would just allow him to bypass that authentication and view the location data within less than a mile of accuracy. No carrier has publicly stated, though, that it has a relationship with LocationSmart. Now, LocationSmart, meanwhile, pulled down their demo site after the vulnerability was disclosed to the company, and they also stated that the vulnerability was never used previously. Now, due to the news circulating about these companies, LocationSmart is now in hot water with the FCC. The bug on their website specifically prompted an investigation by the FCC into their handling of private data. Due to the loopholes in data privacy and regulations, carriers cannot share location data with government, but they can sell that location data to companies. Wyden and other senators are asking the FCC to investigate similar companies and do more to regulate them. Currently, their data sharing is completely legal, and other than voicing our concerns, there's not much that a user can do other than just not have a cell phone. I kind of like having a cell phone. And lastly, but definitely not least, chosen by our Patreon patrons in an alert issued on Wednesday from the United States Computer Emergency Readiness Team, US CERT, Red Hat, the makers of open source software products for enterprise, issued a patch for a vulnerability that affected DHCP client packages in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 and 7, including CentOS and Fedora. The problem was originally discovered by Felix Wilhelm of Google and would allow an attacker to execute commands on target systems over a local network using malicious DHCP server responses. The systems have to use Network Manager and allow for dynamic IP addresses for the hack to work, but it would allow an attacker to get root access over the endpoint. This can happen because computers will send out a request for an IP address to a DHCP server, to which those servers usually just reply with an IP address for that computer. In this case, the computer would receive an IP address and a malicious payload along with it. Now, the attacker would need access to the local area network for this hack to work, and they would also need access to the DHCP server or access to the network to create a fake server to send the payloads from. Fedora and CentOS patches were not available at time of recording. Enterprise Linux 6 and 7 patches are now available, and Virtualization 4.2 also includes a patch. So users, you should update immediately. Patrons, make sure to share your favorite stories in the community tab or on Discord, and every Friday I will pick 3 or more top stories for a voting poll that patrons can vote on to be included in next week's show. Patrons also get access to a downloadable audio version of the show, first looks at show topics, polls, discussions just for patrons, behind the scenes photos, and now that Discord server just for patrons at $2 per month and up. So join now to get access to all of these and to help support the show. Also, OMG, we are so close to hitting 850 patrons. That's amazing, that's huge, that's a great big goal of mine, so I'm super excited about it. Make sure to share the show and let's make that happen. Our next goal covers the cost of our new equipment upgrades, like the new camera that I'm currently recording on, and also opens up a live video Q&A just for patrons each and every month. And a huge thanks to our Hush Puppy perk level patrons for sending their adorable fur baby photos. I love them. Keep them coming. Thank you so much. Hit the subscribe button, share this episode on your favorite social media page as well. And with that, I am Shannon Morse, and I will see you on the internet.